All right. Well, welcome and thanks for joining me here today. My name is Nick, man, and I'm really excited to walk through this presentation with you guys. Uh, this is something that we're going to be focusing on, which is SEO and GEO, the new formula for getting you ranked and showing up in Google, and not only Google, but the AI chat as well with Gemini, Perplexity, ChatGPT, some of the common ones. And we'll kind of just go through here. And as more people come in, see Natalie also joined. Welcome, Natalie. As I was saying, I'm really excited to go through this with you guys. Hello.
Hi.
I prepared quite a bit of a presentation, so thanks for popping on. And uh, right here, I'll kind of show the slide again here. We're talking about the SEO and GEO formula. And the whole point of this video or this kind of workshop, I wanted to provide a lot of value. So there's a couple of things that you can actually download and use to optimize your website, take a check into how your SEO is performing. So for example, you can go to counselingseo.com/SEO-workbook. I've got a couple of these things prepared for you guys. Actually, here, I'll throw it in the chat as well, just so you guys have it. Oops. It should look like that. You just click that link. These are things that we'll go through during this presentation. It just looks like this. Basically, I take everything that I talk about during this presentation, I put it in this workbook. There's a couple of bullet points through here, a couple of checklists, and kind of step-by-step guides on what you need to do to kind of optimize your website. So we're going to be talking about today SEO and GEO. So we have this whole accelerated growth model here, and we want to drive leads, maximize conversions, and optimize results. And this is another kind of version of it. There's really 9 clear steps on how to kind of triple your sales, get more book sessions by getting your internet marketing right. And today we're just going to be talking about the organic side. So effortlessly attracting the right clients through SEO methods without overwhelming yourself, because unlike other marketing channels, you don't have to keep on creating content. You don't have to really worry about the technical details as much. And I'll show you a simple step-by-step way to do that. There's other methods in the digital dominance method, and we're just going to be talking about SEO and organic today. So for this meeting, turn off your cell phones, your Facebook, if you're a counselor or a therapist and you own a private practice or a clinic and you're serious about getting better results online, the next 45 minutes, 60 minutes will really help break that for you. So today we will cover the latest updates in the Google algorithm, how AI, answer engines, and AEO are kind of shaking up the market, and the things you may have put in place in the past that could be hurting you now. And of course, we're going to be talking about how to actually optimize your website using the new SEO and GEO formula. And of course, at any point, if you guys have questions, just feel free to throw it into the chat and I'll try and answer that. So who am I? Why should you listen to me? I'm a founder of the digital marketing agency, focused 100% on helping counselors and therapists grow their practice. I've got a real soft spot for therapists because I know you guys do a lot of good work in helping others. And so I want to help you find more people to help. I've helped a few counseling clinics. For example, one client, we got 300 plus conversions that led into 100 plus booked sessions in a single month. And we used a proven blend of Google Ads, SEO, and map rankings. And I've been in this space for about 10 plus years with systems that we've refined specifically for therapy, mental health professionals. And I'm not a pushy guy, but what I like to do is I like to lead by value, show you exactly what you can do if you want to do it yourself. And if you want others to, like me, to help, then you know exactly kind of what I'm doing. And I kind of show you exactly the steps we put into place, and we don't operate in like a black box. I know a lot of companies sometimes like to just receive that monthly retainer and kind of say, okay, well, here are the results, but we're not going to show you what we've done in the back end. And that's not how we like to operate. A lot of our clients love us because we communicate clearly and collaborate closely, so they always know what's happening and why we're deciding to choose what we do. And this is what we do. We're a counseling and therapy SEO clinic specializing in digital marketing. We're on a mission to help 300 counseling clinics grow their practice, attract ideal clients, and thrive without the tech headache. So I just wanted to do a small little plug here. If you want to go ahead and schedule a one-on-one session with me and the team, we'll do a deep dive into your website, your SEO, kind of show you where you are, how you stack up against the competitors around your area, and what you can be doing to get more book sessions through your site. And this is the team that kind of puts everything together. So the new SEO and GEO formula for counseling and therapy clinics. Does SEO still matter? Well, the short answer is yes, of course it matters. This is what the search engine results pages look like. I just did a quick search here, Vancouver counseling. You see that there's the ad section up here. There's a little ad section for the map section, and then the map section, and then the traditional SEO. So statistically, when we're looking at the search engine results pages, a study by Moz called Mozcast Feature Graph estimated that for organic results, there's about 71% of the clicks going to this section here, with about 67% of those actually going to the first 5 listings, versus when you're looking at the sponsored section or the ad section, there's about 11.32% of clicks. It's a lot more targeted, and you're really actually hitting 2 different demographics, because a lot of people that are clicking through the sponsored ad section either A, don't really know that it's a sponsored ad because it's just showing up, and then 2, their kind of framework for it is, well, these guys make a lot of money and they're obviously doing good work because they can afford to pay for this advertising. So I'm going to trust that, click through, and see what it's like. On the other side, if you're anything like me, I don't know, a lot of people, we choose to kind of skip these sponsored ads because we kind of don't want to be manipulated maybe, or we just maybe don't trust the ads as much. So we go into the organic section and click through. So yeah, SEO still matters. And we're actually entering into the age of AEO and GEO. So what is AEO and GEO? AEO is answer engine optimization. So it's focused more on creating content to answer common questions that your clients will have. And that helps improve your visibility with platforms like Google, Voice Assistant, and then AI generated responses. GEO stands for Generative Engine Optimization. And it's the emerging practice of getting your content to rank and getting it actually to show up with the AI-powered search engines. So chat-based tools like ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, Perplexity, and so on. So this is just kind of like an example of a search here. Over here, actually, on the left-hand side, I did a search. I need a counselor in Vancouver, BC. Who would you recommend? This prompted a map search. So you can see there's Wellspring Counseling and Psychotherapy Incorporated. There's Lotus Therapy. There's quite a few others, up to like 5 that they suggested. And then a different form. This is a new chat. I said, who are the best counselors in Vancouver, BC? And then ChatGPT spat out, you know, there's Kira Lynn, Clear Heart Counseling, a few others. And so when we're thinking about who is the dominant player in the space, how many people are actually using these platforms, we can see that Google search gets 10 million searches plus a month. And it's still the dominant, it's still the king for people who are searching for therapists near me, grief counseling NYC, a little bit more specific, the client seeking those types of queries, whereas ChatGPT is more conversational based. So it's more for like, is CBT or EMDR better for anxiety? Those types of questions are asked more because it's more of like a conversation. Not as many people are using ChatGPT for those types of things, although we can see, I wanted to do a little example here. We're doing like, how can I, let's say, overcome anxiety, for example. You can see that Google is actually incorporating AI right into their search engines. We've got this overcoming anxiety involves a combination of lifestyle changes, and then you'll see some links. So you can see that they're actually pulling resources on this side here. when you click in, you can see, okay, it's getting the information from Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, another article from Mayo Clinic, and Berkeley Medical Health. And so Google's noticing the trend and they're trying to incorporate that into their own search engines. And this actually makes it even easier because then you don't even have to have an account like Gemini or ChatGPT. You can just use the search engines and it'll give you an AI overview right here. And we've seen this with other local based service kind of searches as well, where they'll actually list here are some other clinics around your area that have answered these questions. So Google is still king for direct service based searches and local intent. So if someone's searching for a therapist locally, uh, that's what you'll see. But GEO driven platforms like ChatGPT, Perplexity, they're catching up really fast, especially for FAQ style, educational or kind of conversational based queries. You're going to see that surge over the next couple of years and even months. So a lot of those people are bypassing the traditional search and just asking the AI tools directly for service recommendations. And that means you need to show up in both places. Luckily, there's a lot of overlap between what helps you rank for SEO in Google and what helps you rank in AI. And the same thing with map rankings. You know, when map kind of separated 8, 10 years ago, there's a lot of stuff you can do with SEO that would help you rank higher with the Google map rankings. But there's still things you can do specifically for maps that'll help you rank higher in maps. There's things you can do specifically for AI that helps it rank a little bit higher, and same with SEO or Google. So yeah, SEO still matters. You can't rely quite on PPC alone because this is kind of more of the long game. A lot of people that are searching online are searching because they want to find the right therapist. And so having these things on your website help, and not to make this too complicated because there's over 200 plus factors when Google's looking at, when you're looking at what impacts your website on what makes it rank higher. I've kind of broken it down into 4 sections. Really, we'll just look at 2, but with technical SEO, that's usually taken care of either your web developer or the development platform that you're on, whether it's WordPress or Wix, Weebly. Those platforms usually have a solid foundation, so you don't need to really worry about that. Although if you're doing a lot of building and deleting and other things, maybe you might have broken links, you might have 301 redirects that you accidentally created. And so those things need to be cleaned up, but it's usually not that big of a deal, especially with today's technology. And so with that aside, there is really 2 factors that you want to look at when you're starting to rank or wanting to rank your website up in the search engine results pages. So that's on-page SEO and off-page SEO. And I'll give you a good analogy for this. With on-page SEO and off-page SEO, those are 2 components that break up into SEO. You want to think about it kind of like a car, because with a car, there's 2 components for it to actually be useful for you to get you from point A to point B. There's the steering of the car, and then there's the engine of the car. And so in this analogy, on-page SEO is kind of like the steering because you're guiding your car in where you want it to go. And then off-page SEO is like the engine that actually gives you the fuel, the power that takes you from page 5 or page 10 to page 1. So on-page SEO is actually kind of like a fancy way of saying the right keywords in the right places. And just like if I gave you one of the books on my bookshelf and asked you, okay, what is this book about? And you have 5 seconds, likely the places you'll skim to get a general understanding of what that book is about is like the title, subtitle, maybe looking at the chapters in the book. And so it's the same thing with on-page SEO. Fancy word way of saying the right keywords in the right places. And really, with SEO, with this part, there's the Pareto principle, which means 20% of this impacts 80% of your results. And in this case, the 20% is the URL/permalink, the meta title and description, and the H1 tags. Everything else, is kind of gravy. But the reason why URL permalink is the most important is because every time Google goes to your website, it has to read your URL. So if you have for example, anxiety in your URL, your permalink, then Google's reading anxiety every time, and it kind of understands, okay, this page must be something about anxiety, whether it's the treatment, whether it's the service, whether it's more information about that. You're letting Google know what that is about on your website. And so once you got the on page sorted out, kind of go into the off page. And like I mentioned, that off page is really the power that starts ranking, especially now with the advance of AI. It's really easy to get more and more content on your website, right? If you give it a really solid prompt, if you specify exactly what you want on your website, AI can just put up a 500-word article exactly about depression or ADHD, and you'll have no problem doing the on-page SEO. And so that kind of evens the playing field, right? If 500 other counselors can do that easily with AI and that help, the thing that really sets you apart is the backlinks. And backlinks, really, Google separated themselves from all the other search engines back in 1990s with their theory on why backlinks are important. And it's because back then, when you're on somebody's website and you're reading their content, they're making kind of ad money with your attention on that website. But if you link out to another website, what you're saying is, even though I'm making money with you being on my website right now, I still think that this link is valuable enough to put here to risk you losing money, because I think in the end, it'll still be more valuable to you. So what Google's looking at for these backlinks is kind of two things. It's how powerful that domain is that's linking over to your site, and how relevant it is, right? So if you're to get a link from apple.com, that's a lot more powerful than getting it from Tommy's Dry Cleaning in the middle of Greendale or Hope. And then same with relevance, the same side of a different coin, however you say that. With relevance, if you're getting a link from, say, a single mother's blog that's talking mostly about mental health and their struggles and that kind of stuff, it's a lot more relevant than if you get it from someone who's talking about heavy machinery equipment. And so those are kind of the two things that Google looks at. And then you get into kind of the tiebreaker of the experience. Google's really big on experience. So we can manipulate the on page, we can manipulate the off page as much as we want. But if we get you to the top 3 positions and people are going to your website and then realizing that it's not a good experience and leaving, then Google's not going to keep you ranked in the top 3 positions for very long, because it's going to see, okay, well, most people who land on these pages spend 3 minutes, 2 minutes. But when people go to your website, they're only staying for like 20 seconds, 10 seconds and leaving and going to competitors. Google's kind of being like, okay, well, we thought these guys were good, but actually maybe not. So we'll move them back down. So in the long run, you really want to work on the experience. And Google has this whole framework of EAT, which is expertise, authority, and trust, like demonstrating that throughout your website. So I did that example online. I'll do another example actually with ChatGPT, because I think it's kind of interesting. You can actually ask ChatGPT what it uses, what criteria it uses in when it's suggesting these clinics. So you can say, hey, I want a counseling clinic in Vancouver. And I'll let it do its thing. But what you could also do is say, what are the criteria you use when you're suggesting these clinics? So we'll let it work away on that for a little bit. But when I did this kind of previously, some of the things that it mentioned was reputation and credibility. And it was really hard to get reviews, especially in the therapy space. There's some ethical debates and that kind of stuff. But when you look at some of the top rated or the top performing counseling clinics in terms of SEO and where they rank, some of them have a substantial amount of reviews. So they maybe have like a strategy or a system kind of in place to encourage reviews and maybe not exactly directly ask for them, but the reviews are important. Being associated with platforms like Psychology Today helps as well. And then it gets into other things like range of services. So how would it know what range of service you provide? Well, it's basically what you have on your website. So if you have pages for anxiety, if you have pages that talk about depression, trauma, or your process for how you help people, especially bonus if you include modalities like CBT, MDR, somatic, that kind of stuff. And then it also looks at your website to see, are you in Vancouver? Are you offering in person, online? How do you operate? And um, and that. So here's another example. There's Vancouver Counseling, Thrive. And so when I ask, what are the criteria? Says, okay, location is the most important. We're seeing kind of a pattern, reputation, services offered, accessibility, and then specialization. So if you really want to focus on EMDR for trauma, you can theme your whole website for that and really make that, have that advantage over others. And then there's other things like affordability. So if you do offer more affordable solutions to people who need it more, you want to offer that on the website. And so this is kind of low-hanging fruit. When you flesh out your website, you want to go into detail, have jargon kind of in there, and then explain what that jargon is. So the new SEO formula, you want to really figure out which keywords are most important based on your service, your modality, location, and you want to look at the search volume for that. There's tools like Google Keyword, WordStream, SpyFu, SEMrush. We like SEMrush here, so I'll show you an example. Okay, give me a second here. Might have to kick out one of my team members, but we'll do Vancouver Counseling as an example. So using a tool like this, you can see we're in the States right now. So let's just change that. So we're in Canada for this example. Vancouver Counseling with one L gets 90 searches, but we can see that there's a bunch of keyword ideas. So if we view all and take a look at this, we can see that Counseling Vancouver actually gets 1,300 searches a month. Relationship Counseling Vancouver gets 720. Couples Counseling, another 590. So there's a list of keywords that you can really use to help strategize what pages to go after, what pages to build, and how to position yourself. So we want to set up a great website with unique pages targeting some of those keyword groups. And kind of, again, you want pages for each service, each city. If you have a city like Vancouver and you're also serving Toronto, for example, you want 2 separate pages for that. Just helps with the user experience as well. And then for your website, there's also site speed that you can work on as well. So that looks like this. You can just Google site speed, and this is a tool that Google actually themselves developed. So Google put their own time, money, energy, resources into developing this tool because they know that it's really important. And we can actually run an example. Can anyone use that site? Are you asking about SEMrush? SEMrush. Yeah, I think SEMrush actually is a paid tool. I think it's $200 a month, but they do have a free version. So if you go in here and you want to use it and play around with it, I think they can do that, or you can do that. So with page speed insights, do you have an example? Anybody you want to offer their website here?
You can use mine, Nick.
Okay. It's Open Heart Counseling,
Open
right?
Heart, yeah, dash counseling with 2 L's.
Okay. Open Heart dash counseling.com.
.ca.
Oh, .ca. So it'll actually give you 2 reports. There's one for the mobile and there's one for desktop. And they're just both different because this day and age, about 70% of people are going onto their mobile phones and 30%
Yeah.
are going on their desktop. And usually it's just easier to get that speed higher for desktop than mobile. You can see it came up with 54 out of 100 for the desktop, and then
Oh my, good.
54 out of 100 on mobile as well. So this is, at least it's nice. You can see exactly what you can do to help reduce that load time. So
Okay.
if you click into here, you can see exactly what's needed. A lot of this stuff too is with images.
Okay.
So if we go to desktop, for example, properly sizing images, you can save about almost 6,000 kilobytes. And if you just send it to your web dev or someone who knows more about this, they can kind of do that. But usually, when we're building our own website, or people like web designers, they don't really understand that you don't need to have like huge pictures, because you can kind of trim that down and still maintain the quality for that. This is
Okay.
another tool you can use, the pagespeed.web.dev, just to check it out.
Nick, is that something that you and your team does?
Yeah, for sure. We can do page speed optimizations for sure for your website.
Because I'm currently the person who's in charge of that and I don't know how to do that.
For sure. I'll reach out to you after this, and then we
Okay.
can get that sorted for you.
Okay, great.
So the next part as well is optimizing your site for SEO, is the on-site optimization. So we talked about that being the right keywords in the right places, building your authority with off-site optimization, that's building backlinks to your site. And then we want to track your results. We want to make sure that what we're doing is working. And usually what you'll see in terms of what the expectation should be, because a lot of companies hide behind the fact that it takes 8 to 12 months for you to start seeing results through SEO. And that is true, but you should start seeing your keyword move in the first 3 months. So you should see your keywords go from not ranking anywhere at all on Google, 100 plus, to 20 or page 2 or page 3. If you're seeing that movement, you know you're going in the right direction. But even if you jump up 100 positions into like the 8th position or 9th position, you're still not getting that many people clicking through, because most of the traffic is going to the top 5 positions. And so it takes 3 to 6 months to start getting you to the second page, getting you to the bottom of the first page. And then after that, that's when you start seeing people clicking through to your website. And so the first phase is keyword ranking improvements. The second stage is traffic to your website. And then third is when you start seeing people actually filling out the contact form, giving you guys a call. And that's the flow that you usually want to see. So it's important to track your results to make sure that you know you're heading in the right direction. And so just a little recap here, there's on-page SEO, there's ongoing content that you could create, other signals, and then backlinks. Some of the simple backlinks are related with Google Business Profile, because you can claim and optimize your maps. You can add it to Yext or some other citation management platforms, and they create backlinks in the form of citations, so that those are sites that are known to have business information. So they'll have your website, they'll have your name, address, phone number, like your business name. And it helps Google understand, okay, this is an established business. They're kind of listed on this site and this site and this site. So it is something that is really useful to do. And the new GEO formula, so that revolves around you answering questions in a really clear way, and you kind of write like you're solving someone's problem. So if you have a bunch of sessions throughout the week, you can think about the top kind of 2 or 3 questions, and you usually have an ideas as you go through. And if you answer it in a way that's more humanized, that's even better. And the key points here is to structure it with headings and bullet points, because AI really loves the clear formatting. So you have the question that you've been asked during a session, or kind of a question you think would be good for people to ask. You can tag it as an H2, H3 tag on the back end, and then answer it with answer it normally or with bullet points. And you want to kind of lace it with your own personality if you want, because that can show unique authority and not just like generic fluff. It's not like an answer they can get if they just ask ChatGPT. And be mentioned and cited online. So you want to build that topical authority and get referenced by others by having good content. A lot of times what you could do is you could reach out to other people who own blogs or other websites and say, hey, can I do an article for you? And oftentimes when you do that article with whatever you want to specialize in or whatever topic you want to cover, then you can get a link back from that site to your site. And as kind of like, modernizing everything, you can always test it with ChatGPT or Perplexity, Gemini. You can feed whatever content you created and make it better. So there's a way to make it more engaging or kind of trim out some fluff. You can use these tools to do that. So that's the new SEO and GEO formula. And just wanted to, if you don't have a chance yet, you can download the book here. And as another thing, I wanted to give you guys the counseling kind of keyword list. So the team's done a lot of research in when we work with people. I'll throw it in the chat here. But it's a list here. I'll actually show you guys as well what it looks like. Because our team's done a lot of work on this. And what you can see is then you can see some of the keywords that have high search volume, and you can use this to kind of plan out what you want to do. And so kind of how this works is there's a table of contents right here. So say you really want to work on kind of attachment issues, you can kind of click the link here. It'll pop you down to that section, and you can see, okay, people are searching attachment issue theory or therapy, counseling, attachment issues and anxiety, attachment issues and guilt or shame. So these are also good ideas for you to incorporate into your website or offer as a service. And if you want to just go back to the table of contents, instead of scrolling up 800 rows, you kind of just click here and go back up to the top. So everything from high performance coaching to sleep issues, depression, play therapy for children. And I am trying to add to this list, but this is what we have for now. And so as an added bonus, I wanted to give that to you guys who are on today. And another thing, if you do want to book a call, counseling.seo.com/schedule, I'll give you a free ranking report to show you exactly where you're ranking. I'll go through kind of the pros and cons or kind of the strengths and weaknesses of your site. I'll look at your competitors. I'll show you what the difference is and what you can do to bridge the gap. And yeah, so it'll be a customized presentation, customized video, and then we can have a one-to-one as well. So just one last recap on what we talked about. There's the on-site optimization, so strong website with good content and user experience. We're going to leverage multimedia being a fancy word for images, content, video if you can. And then you want pages for each of your services. So I know sometimes you just have one single service page and then you list out couples therapies, individual, anxiety, all of that. Really, you should have each of those service page into an individual page. You want pages for the cities that you serve. So if you have multiple locations, Vancouver, Coquitlam, Abbotsford, Toronto, if you have people in that city, it's easier to rank. And those are some of the higher keywords that people search for, usually your city plus counseling or your city plus therapy. If you want to have unique content, so you can pass that into the
Nick,
city pages.
can I just ask a question?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I think Natalie and I are both, like we're both virtual.
Hmm.
So for pages for cities that we serve, like, should we have a page for like each city in BC, for example? Like, since we're
You
completely virtual,
can.
like, would
So
be useful, or is that just like a lot of,
I think probably what would be better at first is to flesh out all the services that you offer.
okay,
And then if you have more time, you can get into that. The thing is, usually when people are searching for someone local, they kind of want to see someone in person.
right.
It might also be the case that they just want someone local and they don't actually mind because
Yeah,
they just don't want to work with someone in Alberta or someone in the States. So
yeah.
as long as you're kind of in the BC area and they like your content, they like your stuff, they might be fine doing it virtually. So it doesn't hurt to do that, but I would focus on the services first before
Okay, and
doing
then I
the
also
links.
noticed like a page or two ago on there, you had like one of like the keywords.
Mhm.
And on there was like your city and like virtual or your city and online counseling. So maybe also to focus on those keywords as opposed to locations.
Yeah, exactly. Those would be good ones to focus on.
Okay, thank you.
I have a quick question on that
Yeah, for
same
sure.
topic, if you don't mind. Yeah, I'm really just getting started, so I'm just building my website for the first time right now. But
Yeah, awesome.
and I'm also doing online counseling like Karen. And I was not putting Vancouver anywhere on there, or I actually
Yeah,
live in North Vancouver because I was like, I'm doing online counseling. I don't, it doesn't need to be people in Vancouver. It's anyone in BC can
right.
access online counseling. But what I'm understanding now from your presentation, Nick, is that maybe it's better to have Vancouver in there or a city because
Yeah.
then I'm not coming up anywhere, right?
Exactly. That's the point I was going to bring. If you
Okay.
don't specify exactly where you're from or target more of the keywords that have the higher search volume, then you're just not going to show up anywhere because most people, if you think about people who are using Google to find therapists, they're not, some of them are typing in, counseling or therapy near me, but Google's smart enough to know, okay, based on their GPS data, they're in Vancouver, so they're gonna geo modify their search automatically. So they'll
Okay.
put in, without them even having to, they'll put in Vancouver. So they'll just be searching for Vancouver counselors. Um, Even going after North Vancouver is a good target as well if you want to do that. But it's better to target a city than not target a city at all.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No worries. And I have another different presentation prepared for, Google Map rankings. I know if you're doing it virtually, then it's a little bit harder to get on the map. So there are some people who are able to do that. So I'll get into that more. And usually you want unique content on every page. So just to recap, the URL is really important, having the keywords in the URL, and then the keywords in the title and the H1. And then the
And
meta
sorry, Nick,
description.
it's just to go over that keyword in the URL. You don't mean that like my URL should be open heart counseling anxiety or open heart anxiety counseling, just that there's like a keyword in the description of it, right?
Exactly. So that's actually a good question. Your your domain right now actually is a partial match. So it's got open heart dash counseling. So
Yeah.
you have the counseling keyword right in the domain.
Mhm.
What I'm talking about too is when you're creating these service pages, since you have counseling, you might not want to do another counseling. You might want to do like therapy or counselor, just so
Okay.
you don't over optimize. So then you would have openheart-counseling.com/individual therapy or couples therapy or couples counselor, for example. And so if you have those keywords in there, it just helps with your on-site optimization. The one thing you don't want to do is over optimize, and over optimizing would look like, if, for example, if you had openheartcounseling.com/individual counseling, and then you have individual counseling in the meta title, and you have individual counseling in the meta description and the H1 and all throughout your page, that'll
Oh.
likely over optimize, and that'll kind of signal to Google that you'll get penalized for sure.
Oh, okay.
So you don't want to over optimize, and that's why in this one here, for the meta description, I wouldn't worry too much about getting the keyword in there. I'd try and do it more so like selling the click, like getting people to click through into your site. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes, but I don't think that's what I've done.
No worries. The nice thing about on-page SEO, even if you do get penalized, is it's relatively easy to fix. And
Mm-hmm.
then this is probably not as applicable to you guys, but name, address, phone number in the footer. Because you guys don't have an address, maybe just the name and the phone number so people can easily find you, or a CTA for people to click to book a call with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then a blog if you want to have a blog with ongoing updates and syndication. Syndication is just a fancy way of saying there's a process that kind of gets your blog into other areas like a WordPress or a Weebly or Web 2.0. But that's something that we can talk about uh, at another time. Then we can focus on page speeds for desktop and mobile. And that kind of wraps up the on-site optimization. So off-page optimization, you want to claim your Google business profile if you haven't done that already. Get lots of citations across the web. Your citation should have your website, your name, your address, your phone number, and should be consistent across all of those profiles, all of those citations. And then you want to build authoritative links back to your site from other websites. Now this is probably a lot more complicated. Well, it is a lot more complicated and kind of goes outside of the scope for doing that, but links are one of the main drivers for SEO. So you can get into kind of a simple blog post. I think AI helps a lot with these days, but Google really focuses on their EAT formula: expertise, authority, trust. And expertise is just kind of like the quality, the structure of, and the media of that content. If you have video, if you have other pictures, and authority is getting published on ABC, CBS, other websites, and trust is basically other link signals. So these are some of the things that Google looks at, um, or their search engine algorithms look for. And so this is just the checklist reiterated. There's the on-page SEO and then the Google business profile. And we can kind of just skip through that. So the workbook I designed is a little bit more practical. So if you have that, make a copy of it, and you can kind of go through it step by step, work through it that way. And I think that's it for the presentation that I prepared. So thanks for sticking around. I guess the takeaways, what did you learn or what did you notice? Is there anything you guys would like to share?
I feel like every time I step into this, it's like, oh my God, there's so much I don't know.
Yeah, it's a
So I'm like
complicated world.
furiously scribbling notes like as you're speaking to try and get it down. But maybe the takeaway is just pay someone like Nick to do this stuff because you
Yeah.
know what you're talking about half the time.
Good takeaway, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I think even like I had gone through with a friend of mine who does marketing. We'd gone through like my previous website and we'd gone through to like optimize all the keywords and stuff. And I think I probably was over optimizing. Like I was trying to put the keywords in like everything.
mhm.
Um, and I also don't think I'm great. Like I'm not a good writer. Like I'm not good at writing. Like people are always like, who are you trying to sell to? And I'm like, I don't know, people who want to pay me. Like, so I have a hard
Yeah.
time like putting the right things in. Um, so yeah, going through all your resources, I think will be helpful, but then maybe also just seriously sitting down and being like, it would be helpful if someone else did this for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's always like the DIY, approach. And there's obviously, if it was so simple, then I wouldn't have a business. I wouldn't be around in this,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Um,
Yeah.
like Nick, I just did my website on Squarespace. Is that like, can you work with that, or would you need to redo everything, or what would that look
We
like?
can work with that. It's not, I mean, every CMS has their pros and cons. I think
Uh-huh.
I'm a little biased. I like WordPress. It is a little bit more technical to set up, but it does have a lot less bloat compared to platforms like Squarespace and Wix, for example, because those are WYSIWYGs, which is like what you see is what you get. So you can drag and drop, and it's really easy for you to edit and
Yeah, I think that like
create.
I went with Squarespace first, and then someone else took over my website, and then I went back to Squarespace. And what I liked about it is that it is very easy for me to update. Like, I mean, you'll probably hear from Beta. She's moving through things like you're just like constantly doing new trainings or adding certifications, and like it was just so easy for me to just like go back into the back end and be like boop boop beep beep, and like there's my new thing on there, or I can totally change my profile based on what I'm offering now. Like, um, I think for some people or maybe some businesses, they're fine being a bit more static, but it feels like in counseling, there's like always things I'm trying to add on there or want people to know about, or like
Yeah.
even the blog post idea, like I get like a few a year, but like I still need to be able to like
Yeah.
access that without being like, needing to know how to code.
Yeah. And I think yeah, that's the con of WordPress is it does take a little bit to set up, but once you have it set up, then it is just as easy as Squarespace or any of those
Okay.
other platforms because you just log in and there's lots of videos out there that teach you kind of step by step how to do things. And then when you're in the back end, there are kind of drag and drop editors, so you can click and drag, an image or a block text, or if you want to create columns, you can do that as well.
I believe that you think it's just as easy as Squarespace. I looked at some of that stuff and it was like
Could be. There's
totally not my speed.
Yeah, I mean, when we build websites for clients too, we do hourly training sessions as well. So we walk through it with them. We get them to share the screen. We guide them through it, and then
Okay.
we record it, and then they have a copy of that to watch later.
Yeah, so that they can kind of move forward with it once it's all set up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Natalie, do you have any questions or any takeaways? Anything you noticed?
Um, well, as I said, I'm just at the beginning stages of this. I'm just starting my business and just setting up my website. I'm using Squarespace as well. And even like I, yeah, even the like making the website on Squarespace was a little, it's not something I've ever done before. So it was
Mhm.
like, I, you know, um, so it's kind of like SEO is maybe like the next step for me. So I don't know
For
if I'm
sure.
quite there yet. Um, but yeah, certainly like I learned some helpful things that I can just like take on board right now as I'm setting up the website so that I don't have to, go back later and fix it
Yeah.
like Karen. I mean, I'm sure there's like a million things I'll have to go back and fix, but yeah, definitely, like some of the information about, keywords and different pages for different services and answering questions and all that stuff will be helpful as I'm building the website, which is the stage I'm at right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, like Nick, this like I don't know what prompted you to get into this specifically. I assume probably like Beta going through some of this stuff, but um like when I built a website, I just thought it had to like say open heart counseling basically, like and say like, hey,
Mhm.
this is kind of what we do. I had no idea about any of this other stuff. Like, um, so it's just there's so many things you have to do that I don't want to
Yeah.
do. Like I just want to do the therapy.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to kind of get into this, because I know you
Yeah.
guys love what you do, and obviously,
Yeah.
you know, I've seen Vita, you know, and even in her mock sessions get a lot of value, and it's just rewarding when you're able to help people make breakthroughs or kind of dissolve kind of pain or become better humans, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So on a
Yeah.
mission to help counselors help people.
Yeah, you're the best. This is like very generous of you to spend time putting
Thanks.
this all together and host this. So
Yeah, no worries. Um, I will be having a replay as well, so this will be up. I'll send you guys more of that. Um, had some other things here prepared, you know, for people watching the recording. If you want a free SEO digital marketing review, I'll walk you through kind of some of the tools where we use like SEMrush and the page speed as well, and then kind of show you where you're currently at versus where your competitors are at and what we need to do. You get an analysis of your online visibility. You'll get custom keywords because I'll be actually researching your site, and we'll go through. It's just a ton of value that we try to give you to kind of show you what you need to do to get more. And we're all about ranking you higher, optimizing your website, getting you more book sessions, I think, at the end of the day. So it's just counselingseo.com/schedule,
okay.
and we could talk. So
Amazing.
yeah, I think if you guys don't have any other questions, then that basically wraps it up. And I'm so happy that you guys popped in, and
Yeah, it was
it,
a
it was
private little
great.
event.
Yeah,
Thank you, Nick. This was super helpful. Thank you.
no worries. All
Thanks
right.
for inviting me, Karen, or
Okay.
connecting me with Nick.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Thanks,
For sure.
Nick.
All right. Take care, guys. Thank you
Thank
so
Bye.
much.
you.